What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Daily Energy News Beat Stand Up here on this gorgeous Wednesday, January 11th, 2022. As always, I'm your humble correspondent, Michael Tanner, coming to you from an undisclosed location here in Dallas, Texas, joined by the executive producer of the show, the purveyor of the show, and the director and publisher of the world's greatest website, energynewsbeat.com, Stuart Turley. My man, how we doing today?
Beautiful day in the neighborhood up here in Bear Country, and I'll be back in Dallas tomorrow.
I know. I'm actually going to get to see you in the flesh. Trust me, people. He's uglier in person than he is on Zoom. Oh,
the truth hurts.
It does, but it's okay. I'm uglier in person too, so we definitely share that. We have to say up front, Stu, my prediction of Georgia routing TCU is absolutely correct. So I will pat myself on the back for that. That was a beating.
It was a beatdown. I mean, it was a WWF beatdown. It was embarrassing.
It really was. I loved at halftime they had David Pollock sitting there talking about how Georgia's taking over the college football with Nick Saban sitting right next to him. The memes of like how badly does Saban want to jump across the table and rip this guy's throat. It was great. So hats out to Georgia. No rest for the show, though, guys. We have a great show lined up. Stu's got some amazing articles. We'll start out in China and talk about how a sanctions invasion war chest ahead of a Taiwanese invasion, why China is hoarding gold. Ooh, that's got to be extremely spicy. Stu's also got lined up for us geopolitical week ahead. Lots of stuff. Chaos in Brazil. I mean, what is going on over there, Stu? You're going to have to update us on that. China reopens borders, heavy tanks for Ukraine, and all of that wrapped into this energy crisis. The next article we have is Scotland's first minister sees clear imperative to accelerate clean energy. Stu will have his take on that. I'm sure you already know where he's going to go with that. Next one we have lined up, massive hedge fund, also known as Swiss National Bank, suffers colossal $143 billion loss in 22. What's a few billion between friends, Stu? Last one we'll quickly cover. Finland's Sarah thinks the oil price cap is costing Russia about $170 million a day. We'll debate whether or not we actually believe that. Pretty much all quiet on the Western Front when it comes to natural gas and oil, though we did have some pretty insane API prediction of the EIA crude oil inventory build. I will cover all of that and a bag of chips in finance, guys. But first, check us out online at the world's greatest website, www.energynewsbeat.com. Check out the links below. They link to all of the stories that we talk about in this article, which are available via our website. Stu does a great job of curating that and make sure all of the news that you guys need to be informed about what's going on in the industry. They're there. Also check out our dashboard.energynewsbeat.com. It's the best place to kind of have a one-stop shop for all your data and news. It's going to be a spicy crude oil inventories. I'll tell you that much right away, Stu. But enough of the pleasantries. Where do you like to begin? It's packed today. You got a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we'll try to keep everybody entertained. Sanctions evasion war chest ahead of Taiwan invasion. Why is China hoarding gold again? You know, President Xi, after he made himself emperor for life, he has really got some problems going on. They've almost lost control of their population. Now, what they're also facing is with them coming around the corner and opening everything up, they didn't have a choice. Mm-hmm. So the Chinese currency is really coming up into some real issues. And I found this article really interesting. I'm finding for the best quote here. The rally in gold prices over the last 2 months has defined analyst expectations for continued weakness, according to TD Securities. Yet we see little evidence that the rise in gold prices is associated with a changing macro narrative, giving the bearish macro backdrop. Speculative interest in gold has remained exceptionally lackluster. World barrels towards a recession. Armed with flows based on approach, we present strong evidence that behemoth Chinese and official sector purchases may have single-handedly catalyzed $150 per ounce mispricing in gold markets. What happens if they go ahead and they do this, Michael? It's going to prepare them against sanctions. What that means is they're preparing, if they do go to war, they are bolstering everything up with Russia so that they can get their oil, they can trade with the yuan, they can trade with the ruble, and it's a precursor to if they were going to go to war.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you have to look at it from the standpoint of we theoretically cut off Russia from like the entire international banking system, and somehow they're able to continue function. To what degree, it's hard to know. We don't really know what's coming out of Russia, but they're still able to move forward as society. Things didn't just shut down, and I think China sees that as a way to, hey, if they can do it and go to a gold-based system, because that's what Russia's basically doing right now,
Right.
you need to do that. I think this could be a reaction to what we've seen in Russia.
Well, it's also Michael, I couldn't agree more with you on that. But I don't think that Russia has been hurt nearly as bad as the sanctions tried to. India is now trading on Russian currency, and also several others. So, and if you won't take Russian currency, you don't get no oil for you, as Seinfeld soup Nazi was there. So, I think they are learning how to avoid sanctions.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, and also, trading gold is extremely difficult. It's not as technical. It's a lot more technical, but there is like very weird underlying fundamentals that change it, and things like these buyers and the way the futures market works in the gold business is a little bit different. I've dabbled in trading a little bit of copper. Now we're just talking about copper futures, so that's not the hardest thing. But commodities are tough, and I think if you're trying to trade gold, as like a day trader, good luck.
Yeah, I don't know. But then again, that's how George Soros made his money, was actually in currency, betting against it, taking people's money apart and countries down. So
we can have okay. On that somber note, what do you got next?
Okay, we're going to go around to some really good fun here. This has got an article. It is titled, it's a really good summary, Geopolitical Week Ahead, Chaos in Brazil, China reopens, heavy tanks for Ukraine, tanks a lot, and the energy crisis.
I mean, this is like 4 articles in one.
Oh, it is. You get a bonus round. And so in the first part of it here, I just want to say about Russia, Ukraine. Friday's new $3.3 billion weapons package is including 50 Bradley fighting vehicles. Let me give you my 2 cents on these 50 40 are already there. What happens with the Patriot missiles? You cannot fire a Patriot missile by reading a Cracker Jack box. I have a funny feeling our people are already on the ground, boots on the ground. You don't send over 40 to 50 Bradley fighting vehicles. Those are light armor tanks, basically. And you got to have men to operate them. You got to have spare parts. What are they going to do? Hover over Ukraine? We do not need to be there. Anyway.
Nope.
Ukraine. I found this really funny. Over 100 Russian artists and public figures on a Ukraine sanctions list.
I bet you're on the sanctions list.
Oh, hey, nobody likes me. My wife even sanctions me.
Blacklisted by the UN, blacklisted by Ukraine.
Hey, but like I said yesterday, Larry the Cable Guy, he liked my tweet.
Yeah, that's your claim to fame. Larry the Cable Guy liked your tweet.
That's right. UN blacklisted me and Larry the Cable Guy. Okay, let me get to the next one here.
Was it China, Asia?
Yeah, China, Asia. Official says 88 million people have COVID. Wow. Where's that at?
I don't know.
Yeah, Tomcat's got COVID. I just talked to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's not good.
Yikes, that's not good.
No, that's not good. And let's go to the Middle East. A drone was shot down over an Iraqi air base. This is really bringing up some questions. Iraq is really stuffing out technology in the drone space. They, believe it or not, have really done a great job. They've been shipping those over to the Russians, and they've kamikaze drones. It's pretty frightening, actually. And then over 9 billion pledged by international donors for Pakistan. I'd like to know where all this money is coming from, Michael. We have bazillions of dollars going everywhere. Man, if we go to as we were talking about, if we go to a gold standard, you can't print money anymore. So I almost want us to go to
we just need to get on QuickBooks, dude. We just got to get the U.S. government on QuickBooks. It'll solve the issue.
Well, okay. and then moving right along, Latin America. Biden's first president trip to Mexico since 2014. He also went to the border. I thought that was pretty darn quick of them to clean up El Paso. I wish he'd go to the border once a month and they'd clean up the problem. So when we also talk about Venezuelan, the U.S. embassy shut down as opposition crumbles. In Brazil, there is hundreds of
time out. What is going on in Brazil? I've seen only flashes. It's like they're ripping the government apart.
Well, guess what happened? They also use Dominion servers. And so let's take a moment about this.
Oh no, don't give me a conspiracy. Don't give me a conspiracy.
It is a conspiracy. They use Dominion servers.
Okay, fair enough. But it's going nuts down there, and Bolsonaro's in Florida, right? That's what I saw.
Yep. And
how convenient.
Oh yeah. Here's the thing with Brazil going the way that they went. That was the last big holdout of a big country that the bricks and roads from China had. China's pretty much owns South America. That was the last big one. Now that they've got that, they really own all of South America. That's why people are going nuts. And they quite honestly don't like a stolen election. If you think a look at the thousands upon thousands of people out in the street, do you think that was a fair election using Dominion servers?
I don't know, Stu. I haven't looked into it. I don't know. I have a hard time believing it, though. I just have a hard time believing it. But we'll say we'll do that conspiracy one other day. We've got one more section here, energy.
Okay, and then we come into energy. Yeah, hey, I found out my great granddad voted again. He's been dead for about 10 years. Okay, when we talk to energy, China is expanding. This is a big one. China expanding South China Sea gas field. When they take a look at this, it's the Shanghai 1 gas field in South China Sea. It is 200 kilometers off the coast of Hainan, will boost peak 3 billion to 4.5 billion cubic meters from natural gas. That's a lot.
That is a lot. Is that deep offshore? I'm trying to look through the I'm looking. I don't know if it's deep water, but I mean, it
is deep water. 1,000 meters.
This is some expensive wells, though. This is some expensive wells. Those wells like $300 million.
Oh yeah. But you know what? When you're going for energy independence, that's exactly what you're going to do.
You got to do it. Nope, you got to do it. I'm completely with you.
Let's go to the next one. All right, next one. Scotland First Minister sees clear imperative to accelerate clean energy. We really know that Scotland's got a real taste for clean energy. They're also one of the biggest producers in that area of the UK as well for oil and gas. The imperative is clear. I'm reading a direct quote. In this decade, we must set Scotland on a path to energy system that meets challenge, becoming a net zero nation by 2045 that supplies safe, secure, and affordable energy for all. An opportunity that's just a transition. The current energy crisis has demonstrated how vulnerable our energy system is to international price shocks. All right. So they are going to spend the next 25 years getting rid of oil and gas. They actually produce a fair amount. Scotland accounts for 95.2% of UK crude oil. And
really,
yes,
I did not know it was all in Scotland.
Yeah, out of Scotland, and 62.1% of UK gas production and hub nodes. So when you take a look at that amount of that's money in Scotland's pocket. Now, Michael, a little while ago, you and I had a huge hit on Energy Newsbeat. I mean, it went bonkers when we ran.
I remember that. I was at
it that almost took our server down.
I think it did a couple times. I was at the airport. I was stuck. I'm pretty sure it was I don't know when it was. I think it was like July is when this story went off. When was it posted?
August 12th.
Yes, I remember. I was at the airport. I was at Dallas Love Field. I was late. I was delayed on a flight trying to get back to Denver.
Right.
And I'm sitting there and you're just hitting me on Teams like, yo, it's going off. It's going off. I mean, it was like millions of views. It was
absolutely. It was weird. It was totally bonkers. Now, in that article, it was Scotland cut down 14 million trees to make way for wind turbines.
The headline writes itself.
Oh, yeah. We don't even need to go into anything further than that. But they cut down that many trees, and wind farms. I love wind, but it is not exactly the cheapest thing to put out there. So anyway, that one was unbelievable. I think we got a hit for every tree. Okay.
Or we're at least close.
Oh, hey, the next one is a massive hedge fund known as a Swiss National Bank. I'm just going to gloss over this because we really do. We've run out of time. And I'll tell you, this was interesting because they lost
$143 billion loss, a cool $143 billion.
Oh, that's nuts. And it was because of ESG. So they're going to drink a little bit from get a bit of the hair of the dog, and they're going to jump back into it. So, yeah. If it's broken, fix it. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. And if you lose how many billions?
Fix it.
Right. You don't.
Something's broken.
Yeah. You don't keep investing in the same squirrel.
You're a genius, Stu. You lost 140 billion. Hey, maybe we should try something new. You're a genius.
It's like getting a bit of the hair of the dog that bit you,
Exactly. You got anything else for us on the news segment?
No, it was a way fun thing on the news desk today.
Yeah. I mean, as I mentioned in the open, kind of all quiet on the Western front on the finance side. Oil trading at 74.63. Time stands pretty much 6:30 straight up here the night before on the 10th. So not much action. Again, we're kind of dealing with the fallout from that increased China demand, with China reopening its borders, also the 20% increase in their quotas for 2024. We also saw the EIA drop today that global consumption of liquid fuels is forecast to reach 102.2 million barrels per day in 2024, driven primarily, quote, by growth in countries like India and China, reflecting trends in economic activity. That said, according from the Energy Information Administration, they mentioned that in their short-term energy outlook, which got dropped today. So demand is going to be there, Stu. That's clear over the past week. And what's really interesting is we haven't necessarily seen that reflective in oil price. I mean, I keep hearing, and we ran a story, was it 2 days ago, on Pierre Andron thinks oil's gonna be $140. I mean, in what world? Like this is what he's hoping comes out. This is what he's hoping for. And oil's still trading at $74. It's very interesting. And I don't know if it starts painting a larger picture about what's going on, but then the sentiment's not there.
No, and it isn't. And the way the world is going with not putting, I mean, people are still getting the hair of the dog that bit them, and that is ESG investing again. They're not wanting to just start investing in oil and gas. So
yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. I think oil and gas hasn't done itself any favors by, I would say 2012 through 26, through 2018, there was, hundreds of billions eviscerated by companies. So I think now we're in this mindset of, return capital to shareholders. I saw our boy Tom Jensen, CEO of Coterra.
Cool.
To remind, he's a mines guy, so I love that. To remind you guys, Coterra, that's the merger between Cimarex and Cabot. Tom Jensen being the old CEO over there at Cimarex. They're down in Houston now. They used to be in Denver. He was a mines guy. They have him up on he's on the board of fame in the Petroleum Hall. They've got this Mount Rushmore on there.
Oh, how fun.
And I remember seeing him up there. Good guy, but all he mentioned was how much cash we're able to return to investors. So that's all people are talking about right now, to making up for the sins of the past. So the capital's not there, but I don't know what that has anything to do with prices, Stu. Prices should theoretically be very supply and demand. So sure, the investment's maybe not there, but that doesn't do anything about prices. So there's something going on here. We got to figure it out.
I think there's going to be a drop in the next year on the Permian. When you talk about, was it 8 million barrels a day, and it could go down to 7 million. So
we could get into decline curves all day long, but I saw this was absolutely crazy. So as everybody knows, the EIA releases their crude oil inventories Wednesdays, 10:30 a.m. Central. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, the EIA probably has already dropped its numbers. But the API on Tuesday at 2:30, so the day before the EIA drops their numbers, releases their prediction. Stu, it about fell out of my seat when I saw it. Okay? Check this out. Forecasted 2.3 million barrel draw from crude oil inventory reserves.
Yep.
What they're actually predicting, 14.8 million barrel build. Woo-hoo-hoo. That's a big number, Stu. And it's numbers like that are somehow weighing more into prices than what we're seeing really with a lot of this fundamental stuff, which is interesting because everybody, as I mentioned before, who's calling for higher oil prices is wanting all of this bullish information that keeps coming out, and nothing seems to happen. So it's just very interesting. It's very interesting.
Well, and especially because everybody is going, hey, more demand from China. China issued this weekend a purchase order for all the oil they can buy. Yep. That's different than people saying, oh, demand's going to come up. They issued purchase orders.
I agree. So just found it really interesting on the crude oil reserves. That's really all I've got on the oil side. Natural gas, again, I love the opening to the Nat Gas Intel article. Studio, love this. Natural gas futures fumbled away momentum like any college football opponent of Georgia. That's Kevin Dobbs over at Nat Gas Intel. It cracked me up when I read that. February NYMEX contracts dropping about 27 cents today. Time stands about 6:35. We're trading about $3.60 on the nose for Henry Hub. Again, we're dealing with just a warming. I mean, it's January here in Dallas, Stu. I had shorts and a t-shirt on. It was like 85 degrees today or whatever. Like, it feels like it's dead of summer, to be honest with you. And I think we're really starting to see, the weather turn, which is great. I mean, it's great for us, but for natural gas prices, it doesn't play well. Be very interesting to see on Thursday what the natural gas inventory numbers come out. Remember, we get crude oil inventories on Wednesday, and then the following day, the EIA releases their natural gas inventories. You can check out all those numbers via dashboard.energynewsbeat.com, by the way. That's really all I've got, Stu. Is there anything else we missed before we let them go?
No, it was a action-packed show. I think it was a lot of fun today.
Yeah, we had more fun than TCU. I'll tell you that much. So,
dude,
it was somber around the office today. I'll tell you that much. It was somber around the office.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Big 12 did not get represented.
Did not get represented well. So, all right, guys. We'll let you get out of here, get back to work. Thanks for checking us out. Daily Energy News Beat Stand Up, world's greatest website, energynewsbeat.com. For Stuart Turley and Michael Tanner. We'll see you tomorrow.